that was honestly just a heartbreaking way to have the Lions season effectively end like that. Like, let's not get one thing twisted. The Lions did not deserve to win this game point blank. They played like fucking dog shit and showed no urgency till the final 5 minutes of the game. But the way the Lions lost this game was absolutely fucking disgusting. And honestly, it just adds more ammo to the whole Detroit versus everybody narrative. Before we talk about what happened with the ref ball at the end and the Lions losing back-to-back games for the first time since 2022, let's take a look at other Detroit sports, because we are going to talk about that ending and how garbage that was. But let's talk about other Detroit sports first before I really lose it.
Detroit basketball!
Starting off with the Pistons, as the Pistons continue their run at the top of the Eastern Conference. They started off with a big win against Boston in a very high-scoring affair that saw the Pistons eke it out at the end with Cade Cunningham dropping 32 points. Once again, why Cade is proving he is him with a 2 instead of an I. As the Pistons, yeah, that's a big win against Boston. So I believe that's now 2 times this year. The Pistons have beat the Celtics this year. So yeah, Pistons do pretty good against Boston. And of course, the Pistons, though, they did have a bit of a setback with the overtime loss to Dallas. In a pretty thrilling game, just Detroit came out on the losing end. As Dallas gets their revenge on the Pistons, since the Pistons were the ones that effectively ended the Luka Doncic era in Dallas. So Dallas gets their revenge for that. All I say to Dallas is, hey, at least it effectively helped you get Nico Harrison fired. So you can at least thank us for that one. He gave you a new GM. But of course, the Pistons, they bounced right back against Charlotte. As, after that loss, usually Charlotte's a good opponent to bounce back against. As we all know, the Hornets aren't a real team. As the Pistons gave them belt to ass and beat them by damn near 30 points. And took them behind the woodshed. As Pistons continue their run at the top of the Eastern Conference, still staying 2.5 games ahead of the Knicks for that second spot. And of course, the Knicks are now going to be looking now to get back on track, though, since now that in-season tournament thing's over with the Knicks winning. And also, speaking of the Knicks in the in-season tournament, the Knicks have announced they're not raising a banner for that in-season tournament. Even the Knicks and James Dolan have enough common sense to know that in-season tournament means fucking nothing. And that the only championship banners that matter are the ones for the Larry O'Brien Trophy in June. All I say is, hey, Lakers, Bronzexuals, and Bucks, take notes from the Knicks on how to be a real franchise. Hell, even the night that they won it, there was no celebration outside of Madison Square Garden in New York City. And we all know how loyal Knicks fans are to the Knicks. Like how when Knicks fans don't even give a shit about winning the in-season tournament, that's how you know this in-season tournament thing's not going to last long in the NBA. Like, if the Knicks don't even give a shit about it, then we've lost the plot. It's like, what are we doing here? Like, even the Knicks don't know how much this means nothing. Like, honestly, it's just a goddamn distraction. Honestly, I was glad the Pistons got eliminated from it because it means nothing. Now on to bigger and better things. As right now, it seems like if things keep going the way as they are, we're setting up for a collision course between the Knicks and the Pistons later this year in the playoffs. Depending on what happens, there's still a lot of basketball to go. A lot can change these next couple months. But Pistons basketball continuing to be the #1 sports team in Detroit right now. At least we have the Pistons. Now on to the Red Wings, as the Wings had a pretty solid week, getting 3 out of 4 wins against 6 out of 8 possible points. As the Wings week started with a big win in Long Island against the Islanders, in a game where the Wings looked pretty bad for the first bit of it, until they were able to rally late and get 2 goals in the third and win against the Islanders. Then the Wings, they shit the bed against the Utah Mammoth, which that's usually pretty normal because whether it's the Utah or Arizona Coyotes, the Wings just don't do well against them. Like I've said before, there are just some teams you match up well against and some teams you don't. And for whatever reason, whether they play in Arizona or in Utah, They just struggle against that franchise. At least Utah now has a real name in the Mammoth and not the hockey club anymore. Thank fuck. Thank fuck that Utah finally got a real name. But the Waynes bounced back after that with the home and home against the Washington Capitals, and they took both games in the home and home, hammering the Capitals on the road in Washington in their house. Even though the Capitals got 2 goals late, got 2 goals after Detroit was up 4-0. It was just not enough for Washington to come back as Detroit put it on ice. At least the second game was more competitive, but Detroit was able to get it done in overtime with Mo Seider calling game with the one-timer in the slot. Pretty much the same way Alex Ovechkin scores his game winner. So yeah, Mo Seider literally called game by pulling one of Ovechkin's tricks out of his playbook. So yeah, he beat the Capitals. So yeah, Seider beat the Capitals and Ovi at their own game. That's kind of fun. That's kind of funny that Seider literally scored in a similar way that Ovechkin normally scores. That's kind of funny. So yeah, the Waynes get the win, and Seider continues his solid season so far. Honestly, good to see that, because Seider kind of struggled last year. Good to see him bounce it back there. And the Waynes currently now sit first in the Atlantic. Honestly, you ever just look at stuff and wonder how did that shit get up there? I'm wondering now with the Red Wings, because this Wings team has been inconsistent as all hell this season so far, and yet they're somehow leading the division. Like, is there something about the Wings that I'm missing here? Or is the Atlantic Division really that bad this year in the first half? At least the only normal thing in the standings is the Leafs being in last place. Honestly, that one's not really surprising. That's pretty normal now. Since I think we all knew the Leafs were going to fall off once Mitch Marner was gone. All I say, Leaf fans, is relax there. You're where you rightfully belong. Like, seriously, how the fuck are you worse than the fucking Sabres? Like, what the fuck? Like, somehow the Sabres have a better record than you. How is that even possible? But, yeah. This NHL, the first half of this NHL season has been one weird acid trip. There's still a lot of hockey to go. Plus, we haven't gone to the Olympic break, and we haven't gone into March yet. And of course, we know a lot of the rosters are going to be announced in the coming week or so for the Olympics. Mainly the big name countries like Canada, America, Sweden, Finland, etc. We already had this discussion like last week. And also we saw Steve Eichmann get some shots taken at him from Quinn Hughes when the Waynes failed to go get Quinn Hughes, and I think Quinn wanted to go to Detroit instead of Minnesota. So yeah, I think Steve definitely needs to take a look in the mirror. But hey, at least the Waynes are first in the division, I guess. How long will it last? I don't know. But hey, at least there's 2 Detroit teams to look forward to right now. Let's just get one thing straight about this game with the Lions. The Lions played like dog shit in this game, and they did not deserve to win this game point blank. The fact that they even had a chance at the end of the game to win was a damn miracle, especially with how bad this team played. Like, this team showed no urgency till the final 5 minutes when they were down 12 points. When Detroit was like, "Oh yeah, we have this high-end talent. We should be winning this game against the Steelers, no problem." But yeah, but I'll say one thing about this game: the Steeler bullshit was definitely real in this game, especially in the first half after Detroit went up 10-3. And I'll be honest, I have no problem with the Lions going for it on 4th and goal there. I would have done it too. That honestly was not Dan Campbell's fault. That was just the players' fault for lack of execution. Could they have called a better play? Yeah, they could have run it in with Montgomery, but the Steelers were keen on stopping that run today. Like, really, the run game for both teams was the difference. Like, I'll just say this. You're not going to win many games in this league if you have 15 rushing yards in a game. Like, that is not a recipe for success. Like, that's pretty bad for offensively. Like, the Lions could not get anything going against the Steelers on the run, with the run game. Like, honestly, you all can bitch and complain about the fishing all you want. At the end of the day, you want to know what doesn't help Detroit's case in this situation? Get the defense giving up over 230 rushing yards. Like, honestly, when you give up that many yards in a game, you deserve to lose, period. And let's also address the first controversial play in this game, which was the Kenneth Gainwell touchdown. That is a touchdown. That was a catch, and that was a touchdown. The ball never touched the ground. And after everyone's saying, oh, should have been down by cut, should have been down in that situation, no. Oh, that play would have been blown dead there as a completed catch on that spot if it was college. But in the NFL, it's still a live ball if you're untouched, and Anzalone never touched him. Even though it kind of looked like it did, he did not touch him, and it was still a live play. And the Steelers took advantage of it. Like, honestly, a lot of the Lions need to study the rule book better. Like, honestly, they need to be more aware in that situation, and someone should have known, oh yeah, we should touch him just in case. I mean, did we literally not learn what happened when the Rams had that brain fart on Thursday night with that 2-point play from Seattle? When everyone thought it was an incomplete pass until they realized, no, wait, it went backwards and it was a fumble recovered in the end zone. At least Seattle had enough brains and common sense to be like, well, I should just touch the ball anyway and pick it up just in case. And it ended up being a 2-point conversion, which is the weirdest way I've seen a 2-point conversion be perfectly executed, because I was kind of confused there. I was like, wait, what? But yeah, there was no confusion with Gainwell there, but yeah, honestly, I do tip my cap to Kenneth Gainwell. He had an outstanding game. Congrats to the Steelers on the win. I mean, the Steelers definitely deserve to win the game, but that ending's gonna make people say otherwise. Because Detroit, I'll be honest, Detroit definitely got a few lucky breaks in this game to kind of cancel out the ending, but I don't think that's going to make people feel any better. I mean, we had the Chris Boswell missed field goal where he doinked it off the right crossbar. And then you had what looked like the game turnover on downs being called defensive pass interference with J-Mo, which that was legit defensive pass interference. Like, the defender literally grabbed J-Mo. It's like where we tried to take J-Mo's fucking head off. Like, that was legit pass interference. So, Steeler fans, complain about that all you want and try and bring that up. That was legit pass interference. And then, of course, someone will talk about the trip, which, no, that's a legit penalty. Defender did trip Jared Goff. That was kind of a shitty way to get a sack on him. Like, honestly, the Steelers at the end were trying to do everything they can to hand the game to Detroit at the same time. And let's be honest, Detroit won this game twice in the last 25 seconds. The game they shouldn't have won, they should have won. If that makes any sense. Like, they have scored twice in the final 25 seconds, only to have both touchdowns be called back for offensive pass interference, which, that was a penalty that hadn't been called all fucking game, until conveniently the most crucial point of the game. And how ironic it's against Detroit. Oh, this type of shit only happens when you play the Steelers and Aaron Rodgers. This type of shit even happened with Aaron Rodgers when he was in Green Bay too, so it's not just Steeler bullshit too, it's also Aaron Rodgers bullshit as well. And let's be honest, the first pass interference on Isaac Tesla that negated an Amon-Ra touchdown, that was not pass interference. He barely touched defender. Like, the defender literally grabbed Tesla and dragged him right into him to sell it. Like, that was not offensive pass interference. That one was bullshit. And then the second one, on the last play of the game with Amon-Ra, that was definitely not pass interference. Like Amon-Ra didn't interfere with Jalen Ramsey. Like, Amon-Ra barely touched Ramsey at the end there. And also, that was a good 200 IQ brain move by Amon-Ra at the end when he was about to go down the lateral it back to Jared Goff for Goff to run it in and what looked like a touchdown. Until the confusing sequence where the ref spent like 2, 3, 5 minutes. I think it was 2 or 3 minutes, but it felt like goddamn 5 minutes. It felt like a goddamn eternity with them reviewing and talking it over in the zebra huddle. Until they're like, yeah, it's a touchdown, but it gets negated because Amon-Ra offensive pass interference, and it could not be replayed by the booth, ending the game right there. Which, yeah, Amon-Ra, that was not pass interference. He barely touched Ramsey. If anything, that was a block, which you're allowed to do that as a receiver. You're allowed to make at least a block and then cut back. Like, Amon-Ra, Like, that's literally what you're supposed to do as a receiver, and that's literally Amon-Ra just did his job. And the NFL's like, nah, we're going to penalize you because you're Detroit. Because Detroit versus everybody. Like, honestly, let's be honest, the Lions did not deserve to win this game. They played like shit and showed no urgency till the last 5 minutes, but the way they lost this game was absolutely fucking garbage. And I fucking hate blaming the refs because it's petty and childish and it's taking the goddamn easy way out. But that ending was fucking garbage. Like, honestly, Detroit scored twice, only to have it called back both times. Because the NFL wants the fucking Steelers in the playoffs just so Aaron Rodgers can have one last trip in the playoffs. Which, let's be honest, even if the Steelers make it in, the Rodgers is going to do fuck all and the Steelers are going to go one and done. Let's just get that out of the way real quick. And yeah, and also with the Steelers winning, it keeps Mike Tomlin's streak of winning seasons alive. Because, oh, you know, the Steelers got to keep Tomlin's streak of winning seasons alive at all costs. Which, honestly, we've seen this before with the Red Wings with that playoff streak back in the 2010s when they were doing everything they could to keep that streak alive at all costs. And it got the Wings a one-way ticket straight to hell. And let's be honest, when the Steelers actually end up having a losing season with Tomlin, the Steelers are going to fall off extremely hard. But it won't be this year. So yeah, once again, Tomlin, the stats get padded once again to make him look more overrated than before. Once again, refball ruined another decent game. And Steeler bullshit and Aaron Rodgers bullshit once again prevailed. And that loss effectively ends the Lions season, as now the Lions only have a 16% chance at making the playoffs. Well, their shot at winning the NFC North is over because of the Bears winning against the Packers in OT last night and Saturday. But yeah, Detroit's chances to make it in on wild card hang on a thread. Like, it's between them and Green Bay for that final spot. Because, oh yeah, with Detroit losing this game, it also means that the San Francisco 49ers have officially clinched the playoff spot. And that playoff spot for the 49ers effectively saves a lot of jobs in Santa Clara. But hold up, I ain't done just yet because there's another team that clinches a playoff spot with this. Because with the Lions losing, the Chicago Bears also end up clinching a playoff spot and drunkenly stumble their way back into the playoffs. This just means that Judah Tribe's going to now be even more insufferable than before. God help us all. But yeah, honestly, this was just a heartbreaking way for the Lions season to effectively end. With 2 games left, they're 8-7. Detroit still has a shot at making the playoffs, but they're going to need a lot of help to make it in. Mainly, they have to win out, and they need Green Bay to lose their last 2 games. Which, I don't see that happening. Like, honestly, I can just see Detroit winning their last 2 and finishing 10-7, but I don't think 10-7 is going to be enough to make the playoffs. But at the same time, I don't think it's the worst case scenario that Detroit misses. Like honestly, this Detroit team was inconsistent and flawed all year, and they were going to be a first-round exit anyway, so it's not the worst case. Plus, this team needs a lot of changes to happen in the offseason. Everyone needs to take a long look in the mirror. Like, especially Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell with their philosophies. Like, they definitely need to evolve in the offseason. Like, the Lions definitely need a massive overhaul in the offseason. Like, the biggest needs they need to address in the offseason is O-line and corners, and definitely get another edge rusher for Aiden Hutchinson to complement him. Maybe go look at possibly getting Trey Hendrickson, because we all know that Trey's going to be gone from Cincinnati at the end of the year because of Mike Brown's cheapness. And it's pretty disappointing, too, especially with Tariq Skubal in the building. And I'll be honest, the whole Tariq Skubal thing with him appearing at the Pistons game Friday, the Red Wings game earlier Sunday, and the Lions game right after. I honestly think the whole Tariq Skubal thing, of him showing up at all 3 games in the last couple days, I think it's just a PR stunt just to get Chris Ilitch to get off his lazy ass and actually give him the extension he rightfully deserves. Or maybe it could be a PR stunt for Tariq Skubal to say that he loved Detroit and wanted to stay there when Skubal ends up leaving, when Chris Ilitch decides to be a cheap piece of shit again. But yeah, just a frustrating game, and the Lions only got a couple days to rest up before heading off to face the Vikings on Christmas. And let's be honest, everyone can bitch and complain about the officiating all they want. Here's the reality. NFL is never going to change anything about it as long as you all keep watching this shit. Like, honestly, you all can come in the comments and bitch and complain about the officiating all you want. At the end of the day, we're all still going to be watching next week and the week after that and the week after that because we're all pathetically addicted to football. That's just the reality. And it's going to stay that way unless people actually stop watching and prove me otherwise, which that's not going to happen because football is so keen in this country and everybody is addicted to football. But yeah, just frustrating way, first time the Lions have now lost back-to-back games since 2022. Just pretty frustrating game and a heartbreaking way to lose. At the same time, the Lions played like shit and didn't deserve to win this game, but that ending was fucking garbage, and the officiating needs to be held accountable and addressed. At the same time, though, the Lions had 60 minutes not to put themselves in a position where the refs could dictate the outcome of a game like that. And the Lions did not take advantage of that time. Same deal can be said about their season, too. Lions had all season to not put themselves in this position. And they didn't take advantage of it. Honestly, that ending just culminates the Lions season this year in a nutshell. Just very frustrating overall. But, 2 games left, anything can happen. Maybe hope we get lucky with Green Bay, but the chances are pretty slim. Like, the Lions still have a mathematic shot at it, but it's pretty improbable. Because I could see Green Bay losing to Baltimore next week, but Minnesota in Week 18 is going to be pretty difficult for that. And even though we're playing the Vikings next week, you can never take an eliminated team lightly. But anyway, on to the Vikings for Christmas next week. I'm out.